Hello, everyone, once again. This is Rob, and welcome back to Media Awareness and another topical video, let's call this. Before I go any further, I'd like to ask you all to please like, share, and comment below. If you're not comfortable commenting in the comment section, you'll find a link in the description to my personal Facebook page where you can contact me privately and I will respond to you personally and discreetly. You'll also find a link to my Patreon page where you can choose to support this channel, which would be greatly appreciated. And for this video in particular, you'll find a link to Daniel Greene's page. He is the host of Fantasy News here on YouTube, and I'm going to link this particular video that I'm going to be referencing in my description because I watched this and I was quite literally appalled by the topic that Daniel was covering. One thing that I have not stated on media awareness is I myself am an author. I'm not published yet, but I am an author, and I hope to soon be published. I was formerly a counselor for over 15 years with a master's degree in rehabilitation counseling, a bachelor's degree in sociology, and a minor in journalism, as well as other assorted certificates I obtained along the way. I've worked as a counselor in various capacities over that time frame. And I feel as though I've learned a lot about people, which has in turn helped my writing and helped me to develop compelling characters, in my opinion. I've been now writing for roughly 10 years seriously, and I am at a point now where I am ready to publish my work. So this topic is extremely close to my heart. That being stated, I am very defensive of authors when it comes to their work. And I'm defensive of them if they are worthy of my defense, I should say. And there are some that I will not defend. But in this case, I had recently watched a video, and I will link this below. It is from Daniel Greene of Fantasy News. And I do not know Daniel. Seems like a really cool guy. But he was kind enough to basically go through and read this article in a video. And it is a article written for the publication Wired, and it is about fantasy author Brandon Sanderson, who isn't just a fantasy author, but let's use that as a title for now. I am a huge Brandon Sanderson fan. I can be objective about his work, and I enjoy a majority of what I've read. But this particular individual that Brandon was kind enough to host and entertain and really just give them the royal treatment, wrote just a slanderous piece in the publication Wired about Brandon specifically, and even just his beliefs from a theological perspective, which is really none of anyone's business, in my opinion. If you want to believe something, that's up to you, and that's your own personal thing, you know. So, what business does this person have attacking that? Well, he tries to link that, in essence, to certain themes within Brandon's writings, and I he does it very poorly from what Daniel had read in the article. And I'm sorry, if a person is deserving of uh, a bad rap per se, then by all means they deserve what they get. But Brandon seems like a really nice guy. I never met him. I do think, though, he seems like an incredibly hospitable gentleman, and on top of that, he's passionate about his writing. There's nothing wrong with that. He has a system whereby he writes, and that system works for him. So why not use it? You know, the man is wealthy. So what? When you establish yourself, when you work for that wealth, you should be entitled to it. There's nothing wrong with that. So it just seems as though the author of this article was, I think, intimidated by his lack of knowledge in the fantasy genre specifically, because he does take various stabs at fantasy audience within this article as well. Now, interestingly, Sanderson is not a household name the gentleman brings up in the article, like George R. R. Martin or J.K. Rowling. And that is mainly due to the fact that his work has not been formally adapted for any type of visual media as far as streaming, TV, films. But his work has been optioned to potentially have that treatment. That being stated, that's not anything to really detract from Sanderson's talent. It doesn't mean that he's not a good author because his work isn't being adapted into some visual form. It just means that it hasn't happened yet. And there are a lot of authors that have not been adapted that I feel should be. But if their time comes, that's great. If not, oh well. At least we, the fans of the author, are aware of their work and can suggest that there are friends or colleagues, whatever the case, and just say, hey, check this out if you like this, that kind of thing. What's frustrating to me is that the author of this Wired article is attacking Brandon on every front, whether it's the way he writes, whether it's his religious beliefs, whether it's how he eats his food or interacts with his family or decides to spend his time. And I can't help but think to myself, I'm a person that is disabled. I'm physically disabled as well as visually impaired. So I do listen to audiobooks. I don't actually read physical print. I listen to audio CDs primarily because I like to have a collection of physical media. I'm one of those physical media people. So I have Brandon's Way of Kings and the first three books actually in the Stormlight Archive in my audiobook collection, along with Elantris and a couple other ones, Steelheart, to name a few. And I really enjoy them. And I can't help but think to myself, at some point in time, am I going to have to defend myself against someone coming at me for the fact that I'm disabled? And I go about my writing routine in a different manner than the average person? Probably yes. If I reach that point of success, I may have to do so. It's sad that that is the way things are, but that just seems like inevitable given this article. And it's sad given it's 2023 that this is actually happening to someone and that they're being essentially crucified for their beliefs, the way they live their life every day. It's wrong on so many levels, and it really frustrates me. It's just, I'm appalled at how derogatory this individual was when a man is going out of his way to host you and to basically answer all your questions with as much honesty and as much knowledge as possible. It bothers me that Sanderson wasn't respected by this particular individual who wrote this article. And Daniel Greene does a phenomenal job of going through the article and sort of picking apart the little inconsistencies that the author of the article had overlooked when writing it, basically. And I love it that Daniel did that because the individual who wrote the article was not very well informed, was obviously really opposed to the culture of the fantasy genre in terms of the readers, the audience. And personally, I find that offensive because I'm one of those individuals. As I said, I'm an author as well. I write science fiction, fantasy, and other work. And it's insulting that someone would attack an individual on multiple levels, which is what the author of the article did. He didn't just attack Brandon for his faith, which is really a low blow. He attacked Brandon for his writing style in some cases, his character development in some cases, which is really, you cannot really go through any of Brandon's work and find any stereotypes. Every character is really quite different from the next. So it's really a stretch on the part of this individual, and it shows how uninformed the author of the article is and how they were stereotyping just to make their points, which were very few and far between. Like I said, I'm going to link Daniel Greene's video below mine in the description for fantasy news. And I urge you all, if you are fans of that, have fantasy writing to subscribe to Daniel Greene's channel and support Brandon Sanderson's work, along with any other fantasy authors that you love and admire. Also, if you would be so kind as to leave your thoughts in the comments below or in a private message, that'd be wonderful. I'd really appreciate that. This is Rob with Media Awareness, and I do hope to see you all soon. Have a great day. Bye.